All right, you guys, I am so excited about today's Zoom. I know we'll have a lot of people watching the replay, so say hello. We're going to be posting this on United We Thrive team page, and just say hello as you are watching this replay, because I promise you, you're going to get so much from this. I'm going to tell a little bit the story about how this happened, and we're going to hear from the Ashleys, hashtag double Ashley, right? It's really been super cool to watch from behind the scenes, watch these two get to know each other and boom their business. So I'm just super excited about the momentum. So I want to talk to you really quick before I give them the floor about momentum and about I hope you grab your notebooks too. This is a way that you can begin to create momentum. And for both Ashleys, it is happening. It is absolutely happening. And I want you to continue to watch these ladies over the next 30, 60, and 90 days. No pressure, girls, but I know what's ahead of you. I know the work that they are putting in, and it all started with each other. It all started with accountability, and showing up for someone else actually helps you show up for yourself. So I'm going to kick it over to them, but I just want to say I am so proud. I am so incredibly happy for them. When this idea first happened, it was an idea that Ashley Hickman and I were talking about. How I had restarted with an accountability partner. I had actually had this, not in their same form, but an accountability partner when I left my pharmaceutical industry and became full-time. And I knew that I needed someone to push me, that I needed to show up, that I would not be able to disappoint. Because sometimes it's easy to disappoint ourselves, right? It's easy to let life get in the way. It's a little bit harder when you are talking to someone else. And I'm not talking about your upline or your leaders. I'm talking about someone else who isn't part of your leadership team. And Ashley Hickman said, this is what I need. This is a great idea. And I know the exact person. It's funny because I mentioned Ashley Weeds and she immediately thought her name. They approached it and then they took off. You guys, this entire thing that they're going to be sharing with you today was created 100% by them. It is the concept that they have and they have ran with. And I believe that they are coming up on their 1-month anniversary. I think it's been 4 weeks since they have been working through this process. And Ashley Weeds, I do not get to see your numbers, but I'm sure that they are growing. But I get to see Ashley Hickman's, and I will tell you, it's the highest her PPA has ever been. She has created momentum, and I know it's because of their working together. So you guys, I'm going to shut up because people are not here to hear me talk. I want to toss it over to you all. And I really would love for you to start off. I mean, I have some questions, but I'd really love for you to start off as like, why you did this, and share a little bit about that.
I can go first if you want me to, Ashley. It might get a little confusing with the double Ashleys, but so for me, I knew the actions. I'd heard what I needed to do for the last year. I heard all the things. I approached all the trainings. I was on for every meeting. I was in everything that I could possibly be in, but it just wasn't moving as fast or like I thought it would or how I wanted it to. And I knew that me just doing it a little here and a little there just wasn't where I needed to be. And I know everyone's going to have a different, like, this is what they can do, this is what this person can do. But for me, I needed to be able to work my business in the day when my family wasn't at home. And then for me, I got to thinking in August will be the first time in over 16 years that I don't have children at home. And so in August, I want to have my business set up where I can really like fully be immersed in my team and help them and be satisfied where my growth was. But I can't wait until August to do it, right? Like I knew that it had to happen before. So for me, it was taking the side hustle off the table and fully committing to more of a full-time position in my business. And me being able to fully take ownership of where I was going, but I also knew in the back of my mind I had to have the accountability. Like that's my personality. And I knew that. So I had to be honest with myself where I was going and where I wanted to go. And number one, it was I needed accountability every single day that I was going to show up and make it happen. So for me, it was taking the side hustle off the table and really committing to my business and where I was going.
So for me, I quit my job at the end of last year, and I decided to go all in because I had built this business alongside a full-time job for over 2 years, and I just knew that it was the right moment. I mean, I made a business plan. I'm a total geek, total nerd. I have notes on my computer here. That's how much of a nerd I am. So I knew that this was the right move, but I still felt like I was missing something. And the really great thing that we have in United We Thrive is we have an abundance of knowledge available to us. I mean, we've got the accelerator now, we've got everything in the guides. Our leaders are constantly is something that I was missing in my business, and I was hungry for that. So whenever Kelly mentioned Ashley, I was like, I think that's it. Like something was like, I think I'm missing that accountability because I had my calendar set up. I had all the notes, I had all of the things available to me, but I was missing having someone to springboard on, to talk to, having someone to do the things with. I didn't even know what I was missing until by fate, Kelly reached out, mentioned Ashley, and I was like, let's have a conversation. Like, when can we set this up? Let's put that on the calendar right now. So that's my why. It's just, it was perfect timing. And I'm sure, Kelly, you probably mentioned this 1,000 times. Blair probably mentioned it. Beth probably mentioned 1,000 times, but I wasn't open and receptive and ready for that. And so I think whenever you're at a point where you're like, I want more, that's when I think you should look into making a change like this, accepting something like this.
I love it. And you guys, as you're listening to them, I want you to be thinking about what you want in an accountability partner. We will have an opportunity to help pair you up and help find an accountability partner for you. We'll have it on the team page. Around 2:30, there will be a post that goes up today on, what is today? Wednesday? Is it Wednesday? The 23rd. I'm like, wait, it's Thursday? No, it's Wednesday. The 23rd. Days run together, I tell you. But so if this is something that interests you, you're not pressured to do this, but if this interests you, as you hear them go through this process, take notes because you may be going through this exact same process. So I agree with both of you. Like, it happens when it's meant to happen. And the person, it is that way. So I want you guys to talk about, I know that you said like, okay, maybe I did the introduction, like, hey, put the idea in there, but I want you to talk more specifically. Like, I know we sort of know how you found each other, but your interview process, like, it's got to be a good fit for both of you. And that's why this has worked so well. So talk to us a little bit about that.
So it was so funny when we first met, it was almost like we couldn't get to it fast enough. We had to have the meeting. Like, it was immediate. We were ready to put it on our calendar and jump head in. And that, I think for me, that was when I had the first realization, like, oh, I know this is gonna work. Because I'm such an immediate person. Like, I want it now. Like, if there's a thought that's in my head, like, it's gonna be on paper, I'm gonna do it right then and there. Like, I'm so immediate. And so when Ashley was able to affirm that, like, for me, it was like, okay, like, she's no nonsense too. Like, she's ready to go. And so I really, really enjoyed that first initial contact. I knew that we would have it, but once we met, y'all, for me, the number one thing was the time. And I knew that I needed someone that was going to match my time, because me being on or working in the evening was non-negotiable. Like, my family wasn't receptive to it. It was just causing a lot of issues in my marriage with my kids, like all those things, because their thought was, well, you're always on your phone. And it was just constant. And as moms, you all know, we have ball messages, we have school messages, we have all these things that happen on our phone, but then you throw work in there as well. And they never know. They don't know why we're on the phone. They don't know what we're doing. In their mind, you're working. Their minds always go to you're working first. And so that's where my family was. So I knew that time was non negotiable. Number one, I needed her to be able to match my time. And it had to be during the day. We work it while our kids are at school. And Ashley was like, oh, yeah, like that's what I want too. So for me, that was the like interviewing process, what I was looking for.
So I met Ashley at a retreat. I got out of my comfort zone and I got my butt to a retreat and I heard this woman's story. Okay. And I think that was my first connection. I was like, there's another Ashley. She's like me. She's from Mississippi. She's got all the kids like me. Like that was our first connection. And that was about 2 years ago, actually. And so that was how I met her originally. And we just stayed connected. We joined working Zooms together. We would message each other, uplift, encouragement. We didn't know that, down the road like this, it would turn into this kind of relationship. And so whenever we jumped on that first call, we asked some really hard questions because we needed to get to the truth of if this is going to work or not. And I think Ashley being the immediate, let's get this answer out there right now, was very helpful for me. But we talked about what our goals are. I think goal setting together and just being honest and not saying, I want to be 200K in a month, like being real, like what really is your goals, and list that out and try to match that. Talking about your working hours. I think that was important, Ashley, because I have the ability to work during the day. Some of you that are watching may not have that availability. You might be able to only meet once a day for 30 minutes, or maybe a couple times a week for an hour, whatever that availability is. Being honest and finding someone that is in your time zone or a similar one that can match up, I think is really important. Deciding our schedule together and being firm on that and what it looks like when life happens. Okay, things are going to happen. Ashley and I are not immune to that at all. We have all the things that have happened. I can't even explain all the things that have happened, but we are very communicative about each other. We actually we use Voxer for the walkie-talkie app because our messenger app is very, very busy. So if you guys haven't tried out Voxer, it's got a really cool free version that we use. I recommend it. But I think talking about our mindset and what happens, if we get off task, what is going to be our backup? How are we going to stay on track? How are we going to hold ourselves accountable? So talking through all the things and knowing that we're going to be a proper accountability partner, because if I am I'll get to it someday kind of a girl, and Ashley is we need this right here and now, that's probably not going to jive. Okay, let's just be honest. And if Ashley wasn't the right accountability partner for me, cool, no problem. We're still connected. I need to go and find my person. So I think just being upfront and honest and treating it like a job interview, and saying at the end, is this the right fit for the both of us? If not, that's awesome. Good. Thank you for your time. Talk to you later. Just being honest.
I love that. And you guys, there's no hard feelings. If it's not a right match, it's not a right match, right? Like this is not I like you or I don't. This is a business accountability partner. So go into that. If you're really thinking of implementing this into your business, think of that. It doesn't mean you don't like someone or not, but these girls are going at the same speed. They are wanting they may not want the same things, but they're going in the same direction, and their commitment level is the same. So, okay. So first off, I want you guys to share your DMO and like how you came up with that list. But before you do that, will one of you guys explain like the structure? I know it, like the days you meet, the times, how did you decide this? And, maybe just the structure, because sometimes people can't conceptually understand a structure, you guys. And I'm going to give you a structure that I did and I do now. And then I want you to see how different their structure is. They came up with this on their own, and it's genius. So whatever you hear my example, you hear their example, those are just examples. You can create whatever structure works best for you and your accountability partner. My accountability partner and I, we meet every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. She's in a different time zone. So Central for her, we meet for 1 hour. We meet 30 minutes about her business, 30 minutes about my business. We give each other 2 to 3 goals, and we are writing it down. Like I have a notebook of what she's doing. And, one of her tasks is, to go live these 3 days. I will text her and say, what time are you doing it today? Like those sort of things. So that is an example of a structure. Okay. So will you guys explain a little bit about what your structure looks like so people can understand, and then talk a little bit about how you came up with your DMO list?
Ash, I'll jump in here. Okay, so me being the geek and the nerd, I already had a list ready. So what I did was I had combined and condensed everything that I was picking up from all the working Zooms from all the leaders that I was joining. Okay, and then, over deciding to jump in and lead some of these working Zooms, that's where I knew what, after doing it over and over, what was working, what was not working. If I condensed that down to 30 minutes, what would be the actions I would do there in my business? So I have this up in, and I highly recommend it, because if you're working from different places on any given day, and that's the great thing about having a mobile business, is to have your list in different areas. So I have sticky notes, the desktop sticky notes that are on the computer, if you guys know what I mean, the digital ones. I have the list up there. I have a screenshot saved on my laptop, and I also have a screenshot saved on my phone, so that if I am on the go for whatever reason, I have it with me and I'm not forgetting any of the things. Okay. So we spend, and this may not be for everyone, this is what we do, at 80 minutes on Facebook, 80 minutes on Instagram, and about a 10-minute break in between. And the structure of that is we set timers. We're gonna do this for 30 minutes, this for 10 minutes, this for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and we'll go through the list together. And I would be more than happy to share that, Kelly. Maybe that's where we put it, maybe in a shareable place like United We Thrive, of what we do. And there are things that we do every single day, and there are non-negotiables. If we are in a crunch time and the sky is falling and we only have this small amount of time, Ashley and I work together and we condense that down even more to our crunch list. And those are our non-negotiables. And then we also have certain things that we'll do on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for maintenance of things. So things like managing our hot list, things like birthday messages, working within groups, engaging with people that are watching our stories and our posts, and doing 3, 2, 1. So this isn't all new things, guys. This is all the stuff that you've been taught, but it's used in a very concise and focused manner. And so we just go through them one by one by one. We don't spend too much time chattering and talking to one another, but we do give each other helpful tips. And I love it. Every now and then, Ashley and I will come up with, hey, I'm wanting to send this message to this person, or I'm wanting to say this. And more times than not, Ashley's gonna be like, just send it. Just send it. Like having someone right there to do that, to say, just go ahead and do it. It's on your heart. Do it, is so insanely valuable.
And I'll add to that too, because I know some of you are new and some may not know what we're talking about with these lists. Okay. And that is fine. I will tell you, when Ashley and I started, I was just stepping into Instagram. I had no idea what I was doing. Okay. I still know very little of what I'm doing on Instagram, but like she said, she created this list already from doing the working Zooms. And as you keep going with your partner and you're running with them and you're doing these things, you're going to pick up on little tips every day, of what you can do and how to work it, what to say, what not to say, how to put it in here, how to do this little trick. And that is something that's, like she said, is you can't put a valuable tag on that, because you're steadily learning at the same time that you're growing, and you're constantly adding to your value that you're putting into social media. And so it's not all just about accountability, it's also about growing your business while helping them grow their business, and you are pitting off of one another. So it's a back and forth kind of relationship. You give and you're taking, and you're teaching one another things that you know. So even if Ashley and I are on the same training at the same time, we're hearing the same things. She's going to pick up things that I didn't, and I'm going to pick up things that she didn't. And so when we meet at this time and we're working out these lists, our DMOs every single day, she's going to say, "Hey, do you remember this?" And I'm going to be like, "Wait a second, I didn't catch that, but I caught this." And so you're putting two people's knowledge into one time. So when those messages come up and you're reaching out to people and you're communicating, you've got two people's brains at one time that you're actually able to like put out there. And I'm telling y'all, there are so many messages that I've talked through with Ashley before sending them, and it's always better. It's like two minds are better than one, always.
So true. So true. All right. So really quick, I want to answer or respond to a few questions. Maureen, thank you for the questions. So when you work full time, how do you hold yourself accountable? It basically is the same thing. You're just meeting at the time and the amount of hours in the days that your accountability partner and you choose. So when you see the post go up when we get off the Zoom, you're going to have an opportunity to share what hours you're available and how many hours you plan to work your business each week. So that will determine a little bit about how you can match someone up. Either one of these girls, they couldn't have been matched up with someone who could only work their business 30 minutes in the evening. It wouldn't have been fair to either person. So that's a little bit of it, is you need to have the same availability. You need to, you want to try to match people up that have, strengths. Ashley Hickman's strengths are a little bit different than Ashley Weed's strengths, and they can help each other and support each other with that. And you hear that as they're talking about, walking you through these things. So they do get on Zoom. So they get on Zoom and they sort of walk through the list. I've attended it as well. I know that Beth Bullis has too. So you guys, I want to talk to you all. I want to ask you all a little bit about distractions and setting yourself up for success, because one of the things that hit me like a ton of bricks was after y'all's very first week, Ashley Hickman and I were talking, and the things that she said to me that she uncovered by working together was not what I anticipated. And one thing stuck with me. In fact, I shared it with them earlier before we started recording. The fact that they're not distracted, that they're on with someone and they don't get up and go change the laundry or get distracted by an animal or go eat snacks or whatever. I mean, if they're getting hungry, they're going to eat, but you're prepared. You're there. You're not distracted, because even though you may not be like talking to someone the whole time, you're not. And I loved that. I was like, who can't use that? Like just a companion that is sitting there doing the same thing. So I would love for you both to share, a little bit about distracting and pushing past them and setting yourself up for success when it comes to that.
So the first week was total eye-opening for me. I didn't realize how many times I actually got up from my desk during a working day to just do random things like I mean, it was just, and then get distracted on the way, walking to the back of the house, forgetting why I walked back there, and then remembering 5, 10 minutes later, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be working, and run back to the desk. And so what I found, and Ashley and I talked about this, I felt so accomplished during the day that when my family came home, I didn't even feel the need to pick my phone up. Like, for any reason, not to check a message, not to nothing. Like, it was not glued to my hand, to where before it was always like, oh, who's in my messenger? Oh, I gotta go get that. Stop talking to me for a minute so I can answer this message. Like, run into the bathroom. Let me just escape mom life for a moment. And I remember that when it first hit me, I was cooking dinner and my phone beeped, and I didn't have that I need to run to it. And the kids they were like, Mom, your phone's going off. And I was like, I'll get to it later. But the whole reason behind it was because we set timers, and I knew I had this amount of time. I was getting that done. And when we got finished, all of my messenger was caught up. I had reached out to everyone. I had followed up with everyone. I had contacted all of my customers. I had contacted my samplers. I had contacted people getting ready. Like, everything was done. So anybody that was jumping into my messenger after my workday was finished could wait until the next day. Like, I didn't feel that rush of having to do it because I had already made contact with all of these people.
You guys, do not disturb is your best friend. It really is. It's your sanity friend. So go into your phone whenever you get a moment and look at available to you. You can schedule do not disturb, and I'm going to suggest, and do what's right for you, but suggest what is the time that you normally start to get ready for bed. You need to concentrate on your life. What is the time that you need to focus on your morning routine and make that sacred for you? That is your schedule right there. That is your non-negotiable. Okay. Protect your non-negotiable. That's important. And then two, whenever you're in your work hours, your work day, there is nothing in your messenger that needs an immediate response. I guarantee you, if it's important, someone will call you. And you can allow exceptions of phone calls through do not disturb as well. So I think holding yourself accountable, because as soon as you open up Facebook, you've got the alerts that tells you how many messages that are waiting for you. So you have to be mindful that I don't need to look at those right now because I'm going through this list right here. If I'm going to be focused and paying attention to that, I cannot get distracted. Okay. I have 3 blocks on my calendar for checking messages, and that's when I turn off do not disturb and I check all the messages. Okay. So there, if you stick to the plan that you've created and give it a try, that's whenever you'll see results. But if you get in the weeds with all the things, you're going to get lost in seeing those results. You're not going to see them. And that will just make you more frustrated. And then, again, life happens, right? Family gets sick, kids stay home. So what are those days going to look like? You have to decide, just as if you're working a job, right? Are you going to have, someone to take care of the kids? Is it going to be half and half? That is a plan that you need to discuss with your business partner, because that can be a distraction as well. Or is it one where you can give your kids some toys, they can play at your feet, or you might have them on your hip and you're still doing all the things. Or maybe you're holding yourself accountable and messaging your partner, hey, I did all my DMOs today. Great. Did you accomplish your goal? That could also be part of what you guys discuss as well. So having that, on board with your partner. And then how to stay committed, I think, is really important. What am I going to do to stay committed to my business? And that goes back to having your list of what you need to do that are your non-negotiables.
So good. So good, you guys. I think it's just, I mean, you're giving, there's so much value here with like how to set it up for success. And I love the fact that you guys have adapted based on when things happen in life, because we know that they're going to happen. Right. And I'm really like being able to scale it down and say, this is what's important. So often we see people come in and work their business really hard for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And when things don't happen, they quit. Whereas if you just keep going, and even though if something happens in your life, maybe you can't work it for the same amount of time, but you still touch it, you still follow up, you still share your story with someone that day. It is amazing how you don't have to restart. Okay. Absolutely. Consistency. I love it. Okay. So final question for you guys. And then you guys, if you have Cindy, Mandy, Beth, Pamela, Maureen, Sylvia, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask, unmute yourself after this final question, or drop in the comments, ask them anything. I know that they are so willing to share their experience, and I'm so grateful for you guys for that. But tell us how it's going now. You're a month in, which we strategically planned to share this. Like, I knew when it was happening, this was going to be a great thing for you guys. But let's say, like, we wanted to get through a few weeks and really see. So tell us a little bit about how it's going now as you're getting ready to start your second month of accountability.
The button wouldn't work. I have to say, for me, it is wonderful. I love waking up every day. I wake up calm, cool, and collected. I'm not rushing to get to my phone. Like, I know what I'm going to do. Like, I have the list. I know that we're going to be together. I'm not going to be alone. That's another thing of my person. I don't like to be alone. So I know that I don't have to do it by myself. And so when I wake up in the morning, like, it's calm and it's peaceful, and I can be with my family. Like, that, being very cautious, and I don't guess I should say cautious, but committed that we're going to get on. I know that I'm going to be able to get to my business, and it gives me a sense of peace that I haven't had the last 13 to 15 months, because I don't have to wonder, when am I going to get this done? When am I going to do this? When am I going to do that? And my PPA is the highest that it's ever been. And it's because I'm showing up every day. I'm in my stories. We're working, we're having conversations. And y'all, when we're talking about working and we're having these conversations, we're not spamming people. Like, we're genuinely connecting with these people. And we're able to say, hey, this person just posted this. What do you think? So we're talking it out. And I know my personal growth has also, like, reached sky high. Just in a sense of, guess what? I can hold myself accountable too. I love having the partnership. I love being able to be there. But y'all, like, let's face it, we have stayed committed for a month. Like, it's good to celebrate ourselves too. Ashley hurt her back, and yet she's at doctor's offices and I'm at home, and we're still working together. And that's what she was saying, the communication. I've had sick kids, and we're texting back and forth. Hey, I did this part of DMOs today. I did that. And then when we get back on video together, like, we're not going days and days without speaking to one another. And I just, like, she is my work bestie. And I just know, like, it's not going to be long, and we're going to be like, we're best friends. Like, it's not just going to be work besties anymore. It's going to be like, we're besties. And I love the fact that I'll say this and then I'll toss it to Ashley. When she set up our Zoom, it was future 200Ks. And so every day when we log into our Zoom account, that's what we see. We're the future 200Ks. Like, that's where we're going, and we're going together. And I couldn't be happier with what we've created in the space that we have made for one another. And we're both pushing each other to succeed.
Oh my God. How can you follow up to that, guys? This woman has my heart, I tell you. Um, so I will say that I feel the ease and flow because I know that we're so hyper focused during our time together. And we get so much done that the conversations that I'm having after that, whenever I do check my messenger, are the result of that, or the continued result of that. And so I used to have this concern that if I spent this amount of time on my business, how much more time am I going to have to spend in Messenger replying to it? And I'm glad that I voiced that to Kelly. And I encourage you guys that if you ever have any concerns, bring it up to somebody. Talk to somebody about that, right? And when she got done telling me her thoughts on it, I was like, you know what? We're asking for abundance. I need to be grateful for that abundance. This is me working my business, and that's the result of it. So I'm going to work my business, and that's exciting. So I think being exciting about it is one thing, but for me, I'm having more conversations than I've ever had. And I feel like I have a lot more people in the hopper, in the waiting room than I've ever had before. And I'm having more bold conversations, whereas before I was reserved. And I think that was a fear of mine because I wasn't giving my business my all because I was so focused on my full-time job. And I just wasn't giving it the focus that it needed, right? And it was just a fear I was holding on inside. I could have worked this business just like this if I wanted to in the pockets of my day, if I was a little bit smarter and I was a little bit more open and receptive to what our leaders were so graciously telling us multiple times. And so for me, my big focus has been on growing my team. So I've had 2 new promoters just in these past 2 weeks, and I've got 3 more that I'm getting ready to onboard and put through the accelerator. So I always have an abundance of messages, but I think the important part is I used to feel like I was capped at a ceiling. And I wonder if you can relate to this too, where you feel like, oh, there's not enough people to talk to. Nobody's responding to my stories. Nobody is hitting the polls. Nobody is commenting. I don't feel like that anymore, guys, because what we do with our list, we are interacting with a focused set of people with our hot list, but we're always reaching for more and more and more new people. And so feeling that abundance of there is always more, there's no ceiling anymore. So I think knowing that is that's a huge piece to growing this business that unlocks so much, I think, for the both of us, right, Ash?
Yeah, I totally agree. And having a system put into place so that you can keep everyone together. And I will tell you guys, I know that Trello has been trained on and teached on and touched on and all of those things. But Ashley and I, we both talked it through and we were like, something's missing. Like, what's the missing piece? Like, we needed a bridge between what we were doing and where we were going. And we found what that was. And that was Trello. And it was using due dates and it was putting our leads in there and having a hot list and having potential people and tracking those conversations. Because now when we sit down, we're not having to figure out who are we talking to today. Like, what are we doing? Who am I supposed to talk to today? Like, it is right in front of us every day. We know when we sit down who we're talking to. We don't have to find anyone. We don't have to play the guessing game or, scroll through our friends list. Who looks good today? I don't know about you, but I did that. I would scroll through there. Let's see if God just places that person in my lap today. I mean, because that's how it was. And now that guesswork's out because we have, I don't know how many is on Ashley's list, but I have 50-ish people on my hot list. And then we have a potential list. If someone's watching our story and we just know that we can't put them on our hot list, we have them on a separate list. So we can constantly interchange these people and who we're talking to every day. And that's where the growth happens because, like Ashley said, you're constantly creating more and more relationships and you're talking to these people and they're gaining that trust because you're there every day. At the same time, the same amount of time, like they know when to come get you. And I always think about it as like a storefront. If you were to own a business, that business is going to have to be open the same time, the same days. You're going to have to show up. There are things that you're going to have to do to let your audience know that you're there. You're waiting for them. If you're not going to be that spammy person just spamming all these people, then they need to know when you're going to be available, when you're going to show up, when you're going to be on for them to come to you. And so that's what it has really created. I've seen in the last 4 weeks of that multitude actually coming because they know when I'm going to be at my desk. They have, whether it's not like intentionally, they know, like obviously the world doesn't know I'm sitting down from 8:30 to 12, but they know that I'm going to be there and I'm going to answer those messages because they're not getting left behind.
And I will say too, I've used Trello before in the past multiple times, for content planning and all kinds of things, but using it in this whole other way, because I've tried the notebooks, I've tried the sticky notes, and I think that's amazing that we have so many systems that you can try to find something that works for you. So I decided to give Trello another chance when Ashley and I talked, and the way that I'm able to keep track and schedule and know what I'm focused on is really helpful, but also being able to take someone off the list and decide that quickly, because you don't want to spend weeks and weeks and weeks talking to someone that's never responding to you, never messaging you back, isn't even on social media, they're just watching, and put them on, maybe a quarterly list or something like that. So I think having a system in place to support what you're doing is exceptionally important. And I recommend Trello myself because that's what Ashley and I work from, and it seems to work pretty easy for us.
So good. So good, you guys. Maureen asked, she's curious how you guys plan since you're doing everything the same time every day. How do you plan for the weekends?
We don't work on the weekend.
Yep. I think that's great.
Monday through Friday for us.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we save the weekend. If someone's in our messenger, obviously, for me, I'll walk away if we're not doing anything. I'll respond to a message, or if I have a sampler or something like that, like high priority. They are the highest of high priority are the only people getting my time on the weekend.
Yep.
And here's the thing, guys, go with what pace works for you. And here's the even better thing is you get to redecide together. So if what you're doing isn't working, after a week or two, you need to both raise your hands and decide this isn't working. Let's pivot and do something else. So after a week of working my initial list, Ashley and I were like, we're still missing something. So we had to raise our hands and ask for help. And we had to reorganize things a little bit to get things working and figure that out. So don't be afraid to say that, if this time isn't working, or if we need to work weekends or whatever that might be, but figure that out together for sure.
Yep. Great suggestion. And those of you who do work full time, or, I know a lot of people watching the replay probably do work like a 9 to 5, 8 to 5. When I had my first accountability partner, we met on Sunday afternoons. She was actually a nurse practitioner. She worked about 70 hours a week. I worked about 50 or 60 hours a week. We the only time we really could work our business was the weekends. We would try to fit in about 30 minutes, 45 minutes a day during the week, but it was usually broken up into 5 and 10-minute increments because our work day and our life started at 5 a.m. and didn't end until 10. And that was without this business. So you can adjust and adapt throughout everything. Take those moments. And I will tell you, if you're like, I don't know when I have time, one of the things that I have done with some different monthly runner groups is have people analyze your time. you probably have more time than you think. Okay. And when you sit down for a 30-minute period, a 15-minute period, a 3-hour period, like these ladies are doing, you know exactly what you're doing, then you actually get a lot more done. It takes 15 minutes to figure out what the heck you need to do. And then next thing you know, you're done, or you're scrolling and you're like, where'd that hour go? I worked my business. You didn't. You scrolled, you sat there and you wondered. So it does take a little bit of piecing together, but this way you can be accountable. The other thing I will share with you that worked for me with my accountability partner right now is one of the things that I said was one of the very first things I said I was going to do was sponsor a new team member. Okay. Within that week, I was going to sponsor a new team member. I was laser focused on that. I knew out of the 3 goals I had said I was going to do, that was going to be the most challenging. And it was the day before, and I had not accomplished that goal. And this person doesn't care. They're not even in anywhere in our line. Okay. They're somewhere else. I don't even know. They're not even in Maria's lineup. Okay. Here's the thing. I did not want to show up to my meeting saying I had not accomplished something. I was going to give it my all. Even if I showed up and I didn't, I was giving it my all. It was not for lack of effort. So that may be you. You may do better and show up better for you because you have to say, I either did it or I didn't. Here's why I didn't, because I just didn't put in the effort. Or here's why it didn't happen. I put in the effort, doggone it. I know it's going to happen next week. I'm going to make the same goal next week, right? So I love the fact that y'all's relationship is that, and that's what you really want to look for. So you guys, I am so excited. Thank y'all so much for just pouring into everyone and sharing. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of y'all's commitment to one another, but more so for your commitment to learning and to growing and to just showing up, because life does happen, life does get in the way. And sometimes weeks are harder than the others, but instead of just stopping, you just continue to push through and you continue to get better. And you guys, I want you to think about is it like a gerbil or a hamster that ride those little wheels? You know what I'm talking about? I'm trying to do it here, but you know, the circle wheels, and they get on, right? And then they start going and they start moving. Same thing with a bicycle. You get on and you start pedaling, right? And once you start pedaling, you know, that first week or two as you're learning, like the pedals are slower, you're getting your momentum. But once it gets going, I said to you in the beginning, Ashley Hickman, it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks. After 3 to 4 weeks, you're going to start to see it roll. You're going to start to see it roll. I've lived it. I've seen it happen, and it's happening for them. So continue to watch them, continue to ask questions. You guys, you're going to see in 2 minutes, you will see a post drop in United We Thrive at 2:50 today, Eastern time. And, drop in there what you're looking for an accountability partner if this is something. And I tagged some of your leaders as well, so we'll be able to pair you guys up with people. And I hope this was helpful. Ashley, thank y'all so much. I'm so proud of you guys, and continue to do what you guys do. And y'all, I mean, I'm even sneaking in on some of their Zooms. It's a good thing. So appreciate it. You guys, y'all have a great day. Thanks for joining today.